welcome everybody to a K5 Haulamania. With this episode I've got some post. I've got one of these. I'm going to compare it with that. Got some tat. Whoa! What the heck was this? Okay, let's check out the tat. First up is this World Racer, or something similar from Hot Wheels. The only really good thing about it is the wheels. These are the co-molded special Hot Wheel wheels, potentially salvageable. Ooh, this is quite an interesting piece. Only picked up because I've never seen one of these before in person. It's the Sidewinder. Yeah, this old 1970 classic comes with a little side seat, and you sit next to what looks like a V24 engine, or maybe it's a V16, or who knows what's going on next door there. There are the side kick. 1970. Of course, this would have been a red line back in the day. Here's one that you'll recognise from the last video, actually. Mark Amy sent me this piece, the Black Hawk. I picked this one up. And there you go. See, I do pick them up randomly. This one's in a lot worse condition. But what's interesting about this piece is it's got a corgi stamp on the base, which leads me to believe that the one that Mark sent me was probably made by Real Toy. Next up is this piece here, the old classic Renault, is it a Renault Master or something? Renault Traffic, there we go, from Corgi. Very 1980s style van. Just about make out that it's Loctite, so they make glue. So if this one's stuck on you, oh dear, let me know. It's got a bit of a missing bumper there. But it's got nice little whiz wheels on it. They're actually not too bad shape. Here is a really interesting piece. This is some kind of, well, it's like a desert truck of some sort, the way it's done up. It's a big old meaty thing, isn't it? Military, potentially, more than likely. As you can see, it's got this great big huge thing on the base, and it does this. Ah, that's it. There you go. It's got some growl left in it after all. Of course, this is made by Maisto. It's in 179, 2.5 ton 4x4 truck, a Stewart and Stevenson. This is a, well, it's basically a Super King, or a king size matchbox. There we go, number 14, the Taylor Jumbo Crane. It's got all its tyres, it's got a little bit of playwear, nothing too extreme, but unfortunately the the crane is a little bit, yes, it's seen better days slightly, but it does have its hook, and it's still got its plastic thing there for picking things up, and it can actually, if you play your cards right, you could probably pick up that truck. I was toying with the idea that this was probably about 164, but when you see it next to vehicles, it is rather huge. So it probably is about 1/43 scale, maybe 1/48, something like that. But still, an antique, vintagey type piece from the 60s, and very nice indeed. I did actually have one of those as a kid, to be fair. And possibly the star find from all this tat is this piece here. Wow. Yeah, it has been ravaged. Ravaged by time. The patina on it has gone past good, really. You can just about make out the logos on the side there. See if you can guess who makes this one. Unfortunately, the windscreen is very, very shattered looking. A bit of a shame. It's pretty much all there except for that, really. And yes, it is a Corgi Major. There we go. On the base. Interesting construction on this one. This is called a Midland Red, by the way, Motorway Express coach. The big Corgi. You notice on the back here, it's got these strange clips holding it together. but this is definitely ripe for some kind of restoration, I would have thought. Very nice looking piece, except for that window.
Something to rave on about from time to time, and I just went to Morrison's, my local Morrison's, to find that they actually had some Hot Wheels. And if you're a collector of Hot Wheels, which I am, it is proving to be very difficult to get hold of Hot Wheels right now. Poundland just don't seem to have any. Obviously it would be the older stock, but they don't have any at all. In fact, actually sometimes they even have Matchbox. They have a lot of generic stuff, so they're out of the equation at the moment. Tesco's, useless. Sainsbury's, absolutely useless. And Asda, don't even get me going. They used to be very, very reliable. So, the only game in town at the moment seems to be Morrison's, which is a bit of a surprise, because in the past they weren't always that good. So, I went in, and there was 2 fairly new boxes that hadn't even been taken out of the boxes. They were in the standard delivery boxes. And I spied a few as I went through. 3 quite exciting ones, in fact. Now, ignore the one at the back, because that's not a Hot Wheels. You may have not noticed. You may have noticed. This one, okay, is the Twin Mill, which has been around from time to time. I don't know whether it is the original casting, although it does say 1969 as the first trademark on there. You've got a secondary and tertiary trademark, so you've got 2011 and 14. I tend to think this is probably one that was slightly tidied up. But, you know, again, if you're a Hot Wheels fan, you'll know that the Twin Mill was one of the early models. In fact, it might have been in the Sweet 16, the original 16 models. This, of course, is the anniversary year for Hot Wheels. 50 years, 1968, they started off. So a lot of Matchbox collectors, it's something not really to celebrate because it caused enormous trouble for Matchbox as well as Corgi. Anyway. Twin Mill in a very, very smart looking red and white silver decoration on there. One of the beauties about this model is it's actually got a metal base, which is quite a rare thing. Well, I mean, I think it speaks for itself. It's a very nice little model, that one, so nice to get that. Then we move on to the GT40 2016 race. Of course, this is the sort of one that would be racing in Le Mans. This is a completely fictional colour scheme to my knowledge. I like orange, so it was an obvious one for me to get. Some interesting things with this one is that it's got the powered by EcoBoost on the side. That's the twin setup for electricity, and that's normal motive power that Ford employs, and they tend to champion with their race cars. You were not interested to know that the interior is orange, and why is that? Well, because this piece of plastic here comes through from the interior, same moulding, and it allows the Venturi gap here. You see that little hole where the light goes in? Yeah. That allows that to take place, otherwise it would be a problem to mould it. So as you can see, we have an orange engine, so it's a bit of a Jaffa cake special really, but I do like it, very nice. If you have a look on my Instagram account, somewhere in there you'll see that I actually did a conversion on that. There we go. This is the one that I actually converted, it would have been last summer, with all the excitement of Le Mans. The car came out as a moulding just in time for me to get it done for Le Mans in June of last year. So I hand painted, so it's rather rough. I did a white undercoat over everything, and then painted blue and then red over the top. This is a handmade decal on here. Couldn't fit all the EcoBoost stuff on there, and I couldn't find a design to fit on there. I have painted in the engine, the interior is black, so not the issues that you get with this orange one, but of course there's a lot more work that's gone into this. So that was just to show you that little side there. Lastly, out of this little Hot Wheel batch is the 934 .5, as Hot Wheels insist on calling it. I tend to think it's actually the 934/5. This is a halfway model between the 934 and the 935, I guess, allowing them to have this incredible whale tail arrangement on the back of the aerodynamics. But we all know about this model, but it's a very nice blue colour scheme with the white walls, very fetching indeed, and really is a no-brainer when you see it. The other thing worth pointing out actually is that Morrison's are doing Hot Wheels cars, I think, at £1.30 at the moment, which is considerably cheaper than anybody else, obviously with the exception of Poundland. So another reason to go to Morrison's. And of course, as Chris has often remarked, this is the place where you can get majorette reliably. In fact, I don't know where you can get, where else you can get them from. So although it has to be said that they haven't invested in any new stock for majorette, so we're churning through the same 10 or so models, but I'm sure that will come through. Give it time. It's nice to have it anyway. I did a bit of a trade with someone several months back now, and in that was this wonderful Roadmaster Flyers Supercars Fiat 2300S, and that's made by Lone Star, or as I've said before, the Diecast tool machine company. Anyway, whatever. Waffle. This is a fantastic little model. It's running on what Lone Star did to try and keep up with the competition with Hot Wheels and obviously the other British guys, Matchbox. They are frictionless wheels, or low friction wheels, running a very thin axle. I have to say that out of all of them, the Lone Star low friction wheels are the best. They are silky smooth, and given the fact that this is now model is almost certainly nearly as old as I am, if not a bit younger, I would say at least 45 to 47 years old, it runs beautifully. So it's been looked after, but it is missing its doors. This is not an open air model. So although that being the case, I still loved it, and I thought, well, I'll either make some doors or one day I might find some. Usual fare with Lone Star, opening bonnet and an opening boot or trunk, or whatever you want to call it, whatever you are. So nice little model, beautifully made. You've got a screw there so you can take it to pieces, which is just as well, because I put this up on a Matchbox Collectors Facebook page, which some of you may be on, and I did it back in July, so that's how long ago it was I got this. And I said, oh, I got this, fantastic, wish I could have some doors. I don't suppose anybody's got any, and it sat for months and people sort of left it and nothing happened, and I forgot about it. And then this weekend, well, at the end of last week, a chap came on there in amongst some other people proffering suggestions. One person said, oh, you can get them from a spares company that was moulding them, a bit like Steve Flowers, but it was a different company. Another person came up there called Reg Beale, and I have to thank Reg Beale because he actually had, but not one, but two doors, and they're the same colour, although it's slightly out. It's a little bit, you can't really tell here, but under natural light they are a little bit lighter, but who cares? These hopefully will fit in, and my model will be back to how it should have been when it came out of the factory. So I am absolutely delighted. I am becoming increasingly fond of Lone Star. They are very difficult to get hold of, and when you do get hold of them, they are pretty knackered. I'll give you a case in point right now. This is a Volvo P1800 or 1800S by Lone Star. It is probably from the mid to late 60s. It's knackered. I think it actually came in with the same trade that I got this in. Doors open, boot, bonnet, everything else opens up. The interesting story here is, apart from the fact that it's crumped on the roof, and I did wonder what I was going to do with it, but being Lone Star, it's a pretty much sacred object. You don't tend to chuck these away or ruin them. Just happened to be at the same time, someone on, I think, Instagram had commented about obviously seen my story about this car, or something else came up in conversation. They said, oh, you know, I need a boot for this piece of metal here for the Volvo 1800. And I said, well, I've got one, and this guy's in America. So I'm going to be sending this whole complete model off to America at some point on a trade with him, so that he can put this bonnet onto the one that he's got, making a complete model like I've got here. Leave a model which are crumped roof and missing its trunk door. So I suggested perhaps he might want to customise it, but I'm sure he'll do something with it. Notice the steering, just incredible, these models. Anyway, this is supposed to be a quick video about these new Hot Wheels, and as usual with me, I waffled on and on and on. But anyway, that is it. I'm going to be fitting these doors on later, and you can see the results on Instagram whenever that is, on my @Can-Am Customs Instagram account page. So this is me as Mark Ravon, raving on, raving out, and yeah, just having a bit of fun on a Monday.
Big shout out to Brian Artillery. Yes, he mentioned in the comments at the beginning of the month that he'd been going to Halfords and he discovered some cars, K41 period. So these are basically new Hot Wheels in the UK, and they're in Halfords. So if you're desperate for some castings and you can't find them in the usual outlets, I suggest you pop down there. I went to Liverpool. Show you what it is first. It's the Subaru WRX STI. So I was in Liverpool for a few days, or just basically one day and one night, and we did pop into Home Bargains, where I've been dying to get one of these out. Well, I spotted loads of good stuff. So if you're in Liverpool, get down to your Home Bargains, because that is where the bargains are. Everything that I've ever shown on this show was in there. They even had still had some majorettes in there. They also had majorette multi-packs. The multi-packs were the fire, rescue and the police multi-packs. They were $7.99 a go. I didn't pick them up because I wasn't up for spending any money this weekend. So, but I did have a good laugh walking about taking photographs. So this is a very, very cool piece from Majorette, from the new premium line, the series. I believe it's a 21 car series. It's pretty much the same as the old 21 car series, as there was a few new additions, and this being one of them. And isn't it gorgeous? Fantastic stuff. Yeah, it's tempoed all round. Absolutely beautiful. Of course, there is a rally version of this one available as well. £10 this month. I went to Hong Kong. Got a few things for my £10. As you can see, I've got a couple of parcels there. First up is this Tiny. You can see there, Tiny. I'm going to quickly whiz around the box because it's it's a relatively new company. It's been around for about 1.5 years, 2 years perhaps, for my knowledge. I've been seeing reviews of Tiny products. This is the Toyota Crown Comfort Taxi, and I chose to get this particular Tiny piece first because I already had a Tomica version here. Yes, you remember I went to Hong Kong and that's what I came back with all that way for a taxi. But anyway, so I thought I'd get the Tiny version just to see how it would compare to my much loved, trusted Tomica version. So let's take a look inside and see what you get for your money. Now these run roughly twice the price of a Tomica. Street value is 45 Hong Kong dollars, which translates to around about £4.50. That's a basic Tomica. This is a slightly more expensive Tomica because it's a special tourist one, but they're usually about £3.50. So this is £4.50, which makes this one around about £8 if you bought this one off the road. So you can see where I'm going with this. Definitely got this for a good price, English money. Cost me about £8 actually. So the guy wasn't charging too much more than he should have done. And here we go. So in the box, which is good. I like to have a little box. We have a plastic casing, and that protects the car completely. And we get the car out. Oh yeah, look at that. Straight up, beautiful details, fully tempoed, no messing around. This is a proper little model. I must say that the main body is die-cast metal. The base is plastic, screwed down. It's got little, I think they're separate, yes, little separate plastic tyres. Again, on plastic wheels as well. So it's not the most durable piece of kit, as you can see. I'll look at the detail inside. Interestingly though, these doors feel like they're made out of plastic. If we look inside there, it's got all the things you'd expect to see inside a Toyota Crown Comfort. Little wing mirrors moulded onto the doors as well. Any interior door details? Not a lot. Now this one only has opening front doors. So we'll whiz around there. There we go. There's the driver's side. Nice open steering wheel as well. Around the back, it's got all the markings that you'd expect to see. 2-litre VVH. Oh, LPG comfort. There you go. So it's an environmentally friendly taxi as well. I like the logos on this one because it really does look properly like a Hong Kong taxi with all the adverts down the side. That's how you generally see them. Little taxi badge on the roof. All in all, a very, very tidy model. It's not too light either. Good quality, but I wouldn't necessarily expect this one to be played with by my child on a regular basis. I got it because I wanted to see how it compared to the Tomica. Now this one is metal base, metal body, has an opening rear door for the passengers to jump in, and that is it really. It's got suspension, which is cool. This one doesn't have suspension, but I am very surprised at this. It is exactly the same size. There you go. So anybody out there wanting to make a Hong Kong taxi diorama and they just want to add a little bit more detail up front, I highly suggest that you purchase in and get yourself one or two of these tinies. For the change left over from that particular purchase, I was able to score one of these. Whoa, this is a Cosmo Sport. It's made by Tomica. It's got a metal body, a lovely painted metal base, and it has opening doors, so you can clamber in there if you so wish. The interesting thing about this particular one is it is an M80 vehicle. Yes, it's the Monster Attack Team. So, in 1966, a guy called Ultraman was born in Japan. Basically a live-action piece, a bit like Batman, or more modernly Power Rangers. And the M80 would go around and fight monsters, and I believe that Ultraman Jack was their main man up front. And this piece here is gorgeous. It's made in China. The original would have been made in Japan, of course, but still, nonetheless, for a little bit of chump change and free postage, I was more than happy to receive this. It came without the box, which is fine. I did actually have one sent to me before by Cozy, so we can compare pieces. This is the basic standard mainline version, made in China. Of course, with the M80 version, it's fully it's got all the chrome details, and the painted base really adds to the finish of the vehicle. This one's very basic, a very basic piece, very gorgeous nonetheless, but with the addition of that extra bit of paint there, really adds to well, what is basically a premium piece. But there we go, beautiful. Look, it's even got the rotary symbol on the front there, on the Mazda hood emblem, Cosmos around there, Mazda on the back. Everything is just beautiful. Well, as is customary at the end of a haul video, yes indeed, it's another Racing Champions mint moment. And this time we have the 1937 Ford convertible. There we go, from the Motor Trend series. Comes in this little box inside a big plastic clam. And this is from 1998. There we go. Nice and ancient. I do like these ones in the boxes because you get to keep the box, obviously, and that's a good way of keeping your models safe. I know way better out of that clamshell already. Interesting bonnet opening arrangement there. Let's take a look at the model, shall we? It's looking good already. Right, first impressions. Ooh, some interesting gappage underneath that hood there. I suppose it has to, so that it can actually open. It's a little detail that I suspect some collectors will cry about. Ooh, lots of gaps really. There's some big gaps underneath the rear there, rear valance. Oh dear. So there we go. First impressions are a little bit scathing, I should think, but the general paint finish is good. Nice interior detailing. Plastic window there, looks a little bit short, a little bit sporty. Known as the Fat Fendered 40. I think this is the one, given it's got those big fat fenders up the front there. And it's got fairly big fat fenders at the rear too. So that's sparking a trend in 1937. This is the changeover period that Ford underwent when they started enclosing their headlamps into their fenders. Prior to that, the Fords had all flat fronts and open lamps. But this is the first time that we see this kind of like I suppose it's like a fern-shaped grille. Very interesting. I mean, it looks okay from above, and it looks okay in the box, but yeah, as soon as you get it out and start really having a look. Another interesting thing is this base is plastic as opposed to the metal. I want to look at the other ones to make sure they're actually metal as well. But it has got metal fenders and a metal body. Decals for some of the details. Interesting door handle decal there. Why they didn't actually just cast one on, I don't know. Nice addition of those little tail lamps there. I'm wondering if this thing could be taken apart and somehow pushed together. It's probably got a bit of flash that's holding that up. The wheels are, again, we have a separate tyre, and the white wall is actually cast into the wheel hub. There we go. Is it a fixed wheels as well? So they're not independent moving, as you can see. So it's an interesting piece. I mean, let's have a look underneath the hood. That famous flat head engine. There we go. There we have a little flat head. Some nice details in there. Nothing too extreme, obviously. It is only a toy, but a rather nice toy. Probably on the same level as the taxi from earlier. And there we go. The infamous fat fendered Ford from 1937 in its cabriolet mode. Very nice. Right, this is K5 saying thanks for watching. Thanks to Mark again for an entertaining episode. It's K5 saying ta-ta for now.